Hello, welcome back to another episode featuring the video this time. If you're watching on YouTube, we love you. Thank you so much.
You can see our beautiful or ugly faces. You decide.
You decide. As always, feel free to follow us over on Instagram at Smoking with Pod, as well as our new Instagram, Growing with Productions.
Yeah.
And if you're already on YouTube, please subscribe. And if you're not, Growing with Productions on there as well. We got some really cool stuff coming up and some cool collaborations going on. And last but not least, our Patreon if you want to support your boys. And we have some extra content going on over there for $5 a month. You can get yourself some free seeds, as well as we'll send you some stickers and whatever other swag we can fit in the box. But
I mean, honestly, it's worth it. You guys should just do the thing.
Absolutely. But today we are going to be smoking with DocCalyx. What up, brother?
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
We are fantastic, and this has been I feel like a long time in the making. Talking to you, sir. We all have busy lives, busy schedules. You two both have children and families, and we all have wives or whatnot, and lives going on. So, but we're making it work, dude. We're here today, and we're gonna rock it. We're gonna smoke some weed. What actually, you were rolling some stuff up pre-show right before we rolled. What are you smoking on today?
So I'm not 100% sure what it is, to be honest.
Perfect.
It's called Juju. I had a local grower hit me up the other day, and he wanted me to help show him how to strip his plants, top them, and get them to bush out a little bit more. He was an old school grower that really hadn't done much beyond plant them in the ground, water them. So he wanted to see if I could help him out with his yield. So I went over there. He had some old clones of like Purple Kush, like the original 90s Purple Kush. You could just tell from the leaves. He had some White Widow out there and a couple other types, but I helped him strip them all down. Then he started giving me bud, and there was a couple of them I knew the names of, but this one was called Juju. And I have no idea what that is.
Hey, man, mystery weed.
Yeah, ancient strains from the stash. That sounds great.
Not bad, and that's what matters, right?
Absolutely. And was this outdoor grow that you were stripping down, or was this some indoor flower?
So, yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, the one that I was stripping down, that was an outdoor.
Okay, right on. And so you're assuming that this also is outdoor, this Juju that you were smoking on. Okay, perfect. Yeah, dude, it's always good, especially up here in the PNW, if you could pull off an outdoor harvest that actually has some good flavor and smoke to it. Like, I commend those people.
Ends before October.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, man. So it's great to have you here, and we try to dig a little bit into, what you guys got going on as far as our guests go and all that stuff. We know you have, your own Discord, your own podcasts and all that good stuff. What's the name of that podcast real quick, just for all those people who want to, who like podcasts and want to go listen to more shit? They're out of stuff to listen to. What do you got for them?
It's called the Calyx and Crew podcast. You can find it on YouTube, Deezer, Stitcher, Spotify, all that good stuff, pretty much anywhere.
Or follow him at Doc_Calyx or Calyx, however you'd pronounce it. And I'm sure he's got a link in his bio to all the fun things, and you can get involved with. He's got a great Discord community as well. I'm in there as well. I don't post a lot because we got, of course, our stuff going on, but I love to lurk. But you got some really, really cool people up in there and making a really good community. So I commend you on that.
I'm in yours too. I follow you guys over on yours.
Hell yeah.
Same deal. Just you got your own people to take care of, and you're so busy all the time. But I try to pop in. Dynasty's got one. You guys got one. Those are the two main servers I'll pop into, other than my own.
Hell yeah.
Appreciate it.
So let's dig into some backstory on.
I need an origin
Mr.
story.
Doc.
Yeah.
When did you dabble or start to get into smoking weed? How did that even happen in your life?
I was a freshman in high school.
Okay, right around the same time,
and I remember always hearing like the worst things about weed. They had, back in my day, they had those Dare commercials.
Oh, dude.
They keep kids off drugs,
Oh, yeah.
And it was just demonized. And like, if you did it, at my time, it wasn't like, oh, how dare you? But it was like, oh, he's probably one of those loser punk ass skater kids. Like, he's just a piece of shit. Like, just filth of society.
Right.
And a couple of my friends smoked weed, And when I was a freshman, they invited me to go with them. And back then it was still like green bud barely started coming around about that same time, but there was red or something with a name anyway. There was pretty much like green bud, which we called hydro. Most of the stuff was called hydro back then. The grow, chronic. It just didn't really have names, you know. It was either that or red bud, and red bud was like the shitty, swaggy Mexican brick stuff that was all moldy. But I'm pretty sure the first time was red bud, and I didn't get high at all. And then I wanted to try it again though, because I kept seeing like my friends come back and they're happy and they're giggling, they had a great time. I'm like, fuck, it looks amazing. Like, why wouldn't I want to try that?
Yeah, I need
and
that.
So the second time we went, the buddy that I went with, his uncle was a medical patient, and his uncle knew that he smoked weed, so he gave him some of his medical shit. And it happened to be White Widow back when Washington had actual medical dispensaries.
Right.
You know,
back when the weed was good.
When it was, right. And, but he had this big White Widow button. That was the first time we'd seen a name with something like White Widow. Holy shit.
Right.
Fuck
And
yeah.
he had a big old cola in an Altoids can. And we were just like fucking amazed by it. And so we smoked it, and I got high as fuck that time, and I enjoyed it. I even went back to school. I went to math class. I did great in math.
Wow.
And I just knew after that first experience, like, this did something good for me. It's not this demonized fucking drug that everybody makes it out to be. It's not going to ruin my fucking life. It actually helps. Like I feel better in general, and I can still focus, and I can still, I mean, I was a kid. I still did stupid shit, but
yeah,
that's how you learn. That's how you become.
That comes with maturity.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Man. I'm glad you mentioned those Dare commercials too, because nothing made me want to smoke weed more than the one with him talking to his dog. And I was like, yeah, dude, fuck yeah.
The girl melting into the couch.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. I'm like, wow. Yeah. Let me get like her right there. That sounds great.
Exactly.
Yeah. I let those guys down at Dare.
Yeah. It was shortly after that a buddy of mine got a huge bag of Northern Lights.
Ooh.
And I don't even remember what number it was back then. I don't even think they gave us a number. I think it just said Northern Lights. So, I mean, from pictures and stuff, I would guess it was an NL1 or NL2. It definitely wasn't an NL5.
Yeah.
But it was more of the, you know, the really short, squatty ones.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had this huge bag. They sell you a bag of it. It was like by weight, you know, just like any other crop seed. It was a big thing of it by weight. I have no idea how much he paid for this, but he came back and he goes, hey, you want to help me grow this? Like, we'll throw on some money together. And he had a little crawl space under his house. So we put it up like a chicken's heat lamp, and we started growing these things. And I think we were flowering in root cubes. We were kids. We had no fucking idea what we were doing.
Yeah.
The first time I saw those white stigmata come out of one of the pre-flowers, I just like fell in love with the plant. And I was like, this is something, like, it's at that moment when you plant your first seed. I mean, that's a big wake up to, this is just a plant.
Right.
Know? It's nothing but a plant.
No, it's interesting too, because I feel like there's a lot of people like now who I don't know, like the newer growers now have it so much better, right? Like their first grow can not be this dumb, stupid stuff that, you know, us, you know, who as a first growers made these dumb mistakes because, again, there wasn't a lot of knowledge out there. So like growing with a chicken heat lamp or, you know, some whatever those CFLs that I started growing with, right? Like we just make these stupid mistakes, and that's how you learn. But honestly, you know, I wouldn't trade it for any fucking thing, you know.
No,
so,
not at all.
you know,
maybe some of that electricity money back.
Right. So based on that story, I'd like to guess your age if I could. I'm going to guess that you're somewhere in your mid 30s. You gotta be. You're 34 and a half.
Younger.
Damn. Really?
Yeah.
32.
Oh, because Because when I was coming, okay, yeah, you're 30.
I'm not offended.
Yeah, I'm just going off of like the slang terms, the dro, the red, the like. I didn't necessarily have those growing up, and I don't know. I'm only 28 years old, right? So,
I mean, but you also grew up in like a kind of more out there.
that's true.
Yeah. I feel like in Tacoma, it was dro, like that. It was hydro, like that was it. Unless it was something special, right? Like unless this was like sour diesel or like, and then it had a name, but it was just weed. Like weed was weed, and it had like the 3 or 4 different, the same shit. Okay. Everything was train wreck too, for some reason. Like where I was at, and it was like, oh, this is train wreck. I'm like, there's no way. That was
some of the first ones I grew was train wreck and lowrider.
Fuck yeah.
Wasn't lowrider? Isn't that like one of the like auto flower pretty heavy? That was like one of the first auto flowers that was like really being bred with
the semi-auto flower.
Right. Yeah, but I just remember a lot of early breeding projects. I just remember seeing that name lowrider.
Yeah, that was so long ago. I don't remember. We had like 4 hands helping on those grows. I think me and my buddy were kind of like the bitches of that operation. Like we were the ones doing all the transplanting and stripping and everything, but we didn't do like the light schedules or the feed or water or anything.
Damn. Yeah. So just like you got to start somewhere work.
We got the weed off of it too. So
damn.
Hey, at least there was a payoff, right?
Yeah.
At least there was a payoff.
Like it was all good.
Hell yeah. So what was your first like personal setup that was like actually like a bona fide setup? Like if you felt good about it, like the first one that you're like, all right, boom, and then you started
good about the chicken's heat lamp. Like
yeah.
So I was just happy that there was plants in there.
Hell yeah.
That's a hard one to say because I loved the greenhouses. Greenhouse was probably one of my favorite ways of growing, still to this day. But I don't have the greenhouses anymore. But I was stoked when I would start doing HPS grows instead of flowering under T5s.
Yeah,
that I was not happy with that setup. I guess I could call that one out. It was literally just like a bench with plants on it and fucking T5s over them. Damn. Flowering, like no yield at all. They're horrible.
Just these shitty little LED bars.
Yeah, but then when I was running I would run dual like 600 watts and like a 4x8 at a time. And I was super stoked about that. I was getting great yields off of it. But then when I got to the LEDs and started seeing the different expressions I could get out of my plants, which usually equated to denser buds, like they didn't look as appealing as the HPS ones did in terms of weight. But they were denser and the resin populations were better. I was getting better colors. So I've been stoked about each stage of it. It's all fun.
Fuck yeah.
And
that's dope.
Yeah, and so like I assume now you're growing under mostly LEDs, right? You've gone past the HPS.
Yeah, I run all Next Light LED right now.
Right on. Yeah, and so you said before we kind of started on this, like you grow indoors and outdoor, right? Is that outdoor in greenhouse, or is that just like out for the?
That's outdoor in native soil, yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah, or outdoor in containers on some of them.
Yeah. Right. Damn.
Yeah, but I did greenhouse for years too, and shit, I've been indoor for years. Like,
and you say
ever since 04 was the first seed. 04 was the first seed.
Damn. Wow, you've been growing for a while.
It's been, yeah. I took a couple years off, but
sure. As I think some of it.
Yeah, there's been a plan in my life, and I don't feel happy unless there is.
You're like,
even when you're upset with them, it's like, I got more badass seeds in my library I need to pop.
Yeah, like the problem. It's like you're watching your shit grow that you were excited about for months, and you're like just thinking about the next one. It's like
exactly. You get to that autopilot stage, and you're like, well, there's not much more to do here. What's next?
Right.
Do you have anything that you're like eyeballing that you're going to be popping next?
I have no idea right now. Yeah, but there's the problem, and I think it's a problem with most people that have been growing for any amount of time and have collected a library of their own, beyond a few packs. There's always a better one. You tell yourself, I don't need these seeds. But then these new badass seeds come out, and these ones that you had plans for, you're like,
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do these ones instead.
That's exactly the struggle, dude. Every time I get new seeds, I look at my library and I'm like, nah, I'm going to grow these new ones.
Yeah.
exactly.
Or you get something in a trade or a giveaway, and it's like, ooh, actually.
I've really wanted to practice more with bubble hash. I've made bubble hash my entire life, but I've never gone through the process of doing bubble hash to press hash rosin.
Yeah.
So I'm getting more into what I haven't been into before, which is like trying to find good washers, trying to find ones with the right trichomes that wash and give you a really good return. They're terpy, and that's never been my thing. I've always been into like really old school landrace, hazes, shit like that. That's what gets me off. And you can't, those ones aren't typically good washers, those sativas. They don't have the right trichome structure. They don't give you high returns. You want something that's super indica, and I say sativa and indica very loosely.
I think most of us in the industry now have recognized that those terms are a very loose term. Mm-hmm. So when you mention it, we know what you're talking about. We know what you're talking about.
So yeah, I'm still into my land races and I'm still hunting those. But the plan is I've really wanted to play around with this bubble hash and hash rosin. So I'm going to try to break out of my bubble a little bit and try some more modern stuff,
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, and that's
so I can practice with that.
That's kind of where I'm at too, is like that's what I'm looking towards, is like, because I've never even done bubble hash myself. We'd done like a weird dry ice thing a while ago with some stuff that just didn't turn out right, and it was basically just made a bunch of keef out of it. But yeah, so is that like your preferred concentrate is rosin?
Bubble hash, by far. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm with you. Like I do dab quite a bit. Mm-hmm. Like especially after a day of work or something, you have a long fucking day. You don't want to take time to roll up a joint, And I'm primarily a flower guy, which is weird saying that after that, but I am primarily a flower guy. But after work, it's kind of like, I guess it's the equivalent of like taking a shot. Like it gets you fucked up quicker.
It's like an instant, like,
So I'm like, I get off work, I'm not like, hey, I'm gonna grind this up and roll it and fucking
no time for rituals.
Pretty no, I'm just
maybe I'll get to that joint later, after this dab kind of calms down and I'm ready. I've decompressed.
Or put those kids to bed and then.
I think if I had to pick any kind though, I would stick with bubble hash. Like bubble hash would be, I'm on a desert island situation.
And then how do you know? Because I've never, I guess, just had straight just bubble hash by itself. Are you just dabbing that, or are you putting that in like on top of a bowl?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You can like get a screen to put in your spoon or something like that and put it on there. I don't even do that. I just take like a little bit of ground bud to plug the hole, put bubble hash on it, and sip it like tea. Just let it bubble and smolder and vape.
Fuck yeah! Wow, I feel like you're one of the only people I know who that's like some their
old head,
like their top level stuff. Because most people, like there's some
that was treasured back then. We didn't have dabs and and shit. Like if you got hash, you had primo shit, and that just kind of stuck with me.
Yeah, fuck yeah. No, that's dope. Now I want to go fucking smoke some bubble hash. Damn it.
You guys aren't that far away. We'll make it happen,
dude. Yeah, I was just thinking that. Like, I definitely will go over the mountains. Like,
and I swear, like every summer, I'm over there heading to the gorge anyway for some festivals and stuff.
Yeah,
so like
I'm camping. Like,
you're just right there, man. You pull off the road for a couple seconds.
Exactly.
Fuck
yeah, it's not a far trip.
So like growing outside there, man. Like that's something I'm very envious of. Is like the ability to grow outside over here on this side of the mountains. Like it's a tough go. So like what's that like? Is it like dope? Is it hard? What are some of the difficulties out there?
It's pretty easy. Where we're at is in the valley, so it's kind of like a riverbed. There's a lot of natural nutrition and minerals in the soil. The only thing that we really have to worry about is we get a lot of clay washout towards the end of the year. So the soil can get really compact and the roots have trouble breathing. So we do dig out our spots if we're doing outdoor in native soil, not greenhouse. Then we'll dig out the size of the hole and kind of aerate it first. And we used to do that with perlite all the time, but I started using rice holes. I was really into the rice holes.
Just because they break down their organic kind of thing, or?
They break down their organic. They don't break down as fast as perlite. They don't float up to the top like perlite does. A lot of people say they don't like them because they do break down quicker, but I haven't seen that. I've gone through cycles with the same rice holes and not had a problem. But they also add silica to the plant as well.
Oh, damn. Well, there you go.
Right.
That's all you need to say. Yeah.
They're like an extra benefit. Always love those things that do one thing that are better than another because they have a dual purpose, right? Like, I don't know. It's and so when you say native soil, what do you necessarily, are you like amending your soil with different things, or just straight up in the ground?
Yeah, before we plant it, it's straight in the ground, but you do dig out the size of it for where we have to grow. You have to.
What's the size that you got to dig out of that?
Like probably the size of a 50-gallon pot.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Yeah, that's a big hole.
It's a big hole. Yeah. But you only have to really do it once, and then after that, it's breaking it up,
Yeah.
Right.
And then do you have are you adding like worms, or like, you just doing a bunch of compost teas or something outside to like keep that?
Yep. All that.
Wow.
We use a lot of down-to-earth amendments, and we'll top dress with those throughout the cycle and just scratch it into the top surface of the soil. But we do feed compost teas with microzyme, and we've been doing IMOs. I really got into KNF, so we've been using IMOs.
We're like deep down the KNF rabbit hole right now. The both of us.
We're going down that train. In a couple
weeks,
bro.
We're gonna have a conversation about this, and we're both just like deep diving.
So when you tell us IMO, like now we know, dude. Yeah. We know that. I wouldn't have known that like 2 weeks ago. So no, it's great. I had a question for you about growing outside. It's gone, because we were just talking about growing outdoors and using the soil.
As an insulator?
Right. Okay. Yeah. Damn, that weed got me really high. What did we smoke?
That purple ripple, dog. The 8664.
So we brought some weed from our facility. We just did a pheno run of a bunch of devil driver crosses. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's kind of just one of those like hype things coming out. It's Tiki Madman and Clearwater. They did like a collaboration. If you know who either of those guys are, but Devil Driver was like a Sunday what do you call that? Child. So it was Sunday Driver and Melanade, and that was Devil Driver, and then they crossed that to a bunch of hype shit. Pixie Sticks, you name it. If it's a candy, they cross it to it.
Yeah, anything sweet. And they got like a bajillion different things on the line. There's probably like 20 different strains on that same line that I was looking at.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. So, but with like I don't know, commercial weed, we live in, we work in a commercial facility. You got to kind of chase those types of things sometimes just to keep up with the market,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, like that fucking weed, dude, stuck. Like, so we have like these 6 different ones that we got to try, and we're doing a pheno hunt, and we're like talking about them every week, right? Like my boss is coming up to me like, oh, what'd you think of that one? Or like, what'd you think of that one? And now it's like, oh, well, this 8664, dude, this is the one. Like, fuck yeah.
Oh, no, it came to me. Came to me. God graced me back with the question. No, you mentioned down to earth. I almost said nature made, but down to earth, we use that as well. I was just curious, like, what are your like top 3 down to earth like supplements or top dresses or things that you use that you really like?
I really like their granular humic acids, their kelp meal. That's hard because I use a lot more than that.
Right.
You can give me like the top 5. I'm cool with the top 5. I was just curious what ones are like you're using pretty damn regularly.
We'll go off those top. No, the oyster shell. That's pretty good too.
Yeah.
But that's more like for long-term calcium release. If it's low term, I'll use WCA.
Okay. Yeah. And is that like the WCA? That's a water or water.
Water soluble calcium.
Right. Yeah, that's what I thought, but that acronym wasn't tracking with me. That's a K&F thing, right?
Yeah.
So are you making that yourself?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
shit.
That's all my cooks
Damn,
myself.
okay, chef.
Down there.
Yeah.
No, that's great, man. It's cool that you choose to spend your free time doing things like that as well, because that's, I don't know. I feel like if you're working a full-time job and I work a full-time job, I come home and I'm like, fuck, man, like I just need to decompress and stuff like that. And for you to just like continue to work, I guess, after work is like kind of.
I think it's the ADD.
Fair enough, hey.
Yeah.
I have trouble slowing down.
But that's good. That keeps you productive, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So when you're making this, go ahead.
I grew up in a agricultural background too. My dad was a farmer.
Oh, okay.
We did pears and apples and cherries and all kinds of stuff. But that's one of the things that I saw was like the bull crap. If you go to the store to buy an apple, it's already been to cold storage. It's been frozen forever. There's a guy that comes out to the farmer back then. There's a guy that comes out to the farm and tells you what you need to spray on it, which was usually synthetic nutrients, because the ground is just dead. You have to pump it full of shit. Like, you have no choice.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the sprays that they were using was the worst kind of sprays. But still, even at that, when you had a farm that you were growing that apple, and you got to pick that apple off the tree and wash it off, it tastes 100 times better than after it's been to cold storage, frozen and stored forever, shipped, thrown on the store shelves, and then you buy it all waxed up and shit.
Right.
It's just not the same. It's like buying strawberries versus growing them in your own garden.
Mm-hmm.
They're just going to taste a lot better. And I saw the same thing with cannabis, but I hated the idea of I'm kind of a hippie in spirit, so I want to take care of the earth and hug all the trees and shit. But I didn't want to. I can't save the world. Nobody can. Not one person.
Right.
But you can do your part to help not be a part of the problem.
Right.
And I didn't want to kill all my soil. I wanted that shit to live. So I was automatically interested in organics. And throughout the years, it just was a deeper and deeper dive into organics, just like, oh my God, it's tasting better and better and better. And it got to the point where I started doing K&F, and I was noticing I know everything that's gone into that plant. I know everything that's in that soil. Nothing has touched that plant that I don't know about,
Right.
And then you taste it. It's got so much flavor. No, there's not very many people that'll argue that K&F gives you just amazing flavored buds, And I was astounded by it, I know what's been in this plant. I'm proud of it. I did it all myself. It lowered my cost.
Oh, yeah.
I got to pay for brown sugar and use some of my time. Okay.
Yeah, especially like rice and brown sugar.
Rice. Yeah.
Like super cheap.
OHN and IMO does take quite a bit of time. FAA takes quite a bit of time. But you can make big batches of this stuff, make it once and store it forever. You know?
And I mean, isn't K&F doesn't it? I feel like all the videos I watch of people actually using it after they made it, it's not a lot. They don't put a lot of this stuff on.
No.
So
I think my biggest ratio is 8 milliliters a gallon.
Right. I mean, that's
right.
You're using pipettes and little syringes to fucking nail your shit, Yeah. So that water soluble calcium, how are you making that? I've seen a couple, or at least one method, and that was the guy crushed up all his eggshells and then cooked them, browned them a little bit, and then basically put them in with, what was it? Some kind of, I think, vinegar or some sort of acid base product. I couldn't remember. What do you use? How do you do it?
So yeah, I do it similar. Excuse me. I do it similar. I do it with eggshells, but after I've used all those eggshells, I'll wash them out really quick, and I like to sprinkle mine with salt. I don't know if very many people know that, but you sprinkle salt on the inside of the shell, because you're supposed to roast them really slow so they're not, charring too much. You want to get them even brown as possible. So I like to break them up really, really small. What I used to do was like Chris Trump videos and stuff like that, where you go outside on a windy day and you blow off all the inner membrane out of the shells. But what I started doing that really helped was I just started taking table salt, sprinkling it inside the shells, and that the salt dries out all the membrane and kind of shrivels up and peels away from it. And then you just wash it out really quick. It's so easy.
Yeah, that way you don't make a mess when you're in your kitchen cooking, like fanning those things and those membranes.
I was making a huge mess. It's horrible. Yeah, you have to. I mean, if you're going to do it that way, you got to do it outside.
Yeah. So I guess have you been into this KNF? How long have you been into this? Sorry, we're going so hard on KNF, but like
you touched something in our brains, and now I'm like, yes, please tell me more.
So I smoke a lot of weed, and I have been for a long time. So it might take me a second. I have to think about this stuff. I just talked to DocCalyx about it the other day. I don't remember. I want to say like 4 or 5 years, maybe. That's a newer one for me. But what I did was, back in the day when we were growing, we didn't give a fuck. I think that first grow we might have been using general hydroponics, but that was a very short time. That was when we were like flowering out the seedlings and the root tubes and shit.
Right.
And then we started doing like guano was a big one. Bat guano was huge back then. And we'd do kind of like a tea with those, but it was more like a J-Dam style, like just soak the worm shit in water, just stagnant water, and then feed plants. And then after that, I got into a Synganic bottle system. I won't say the name. A Synganic bottle system, but it was a 7-part, and that was a fuck ton of work for a new grow.
It sounds like
somebody getting into it.
Yeah,
that's a fuck ton of work. And especially for somebody learning, or like learning how to do indoor correctly.
Yeah.
So that was annoying as shit. And then I went into top dressing for a while. That's when I got into down to earth, and I was mixing up my own. I was really into Rev. Do you know the Rev from Skunk Magazine?
Yeah.
Fucking hilarious. I love that guy. He's out of Oregon, but he wrote the book True Living Organics.
Oh.
And I was really into that. I was really into his articles, and I believe that was in Skunk Magazine, if I remember right. But just the way that he writes, he writes the shit out like he'd say it. So he'd type out like he. Like It was a very entertaining way to learn those kind of soils.
Right. It's like he was just talking to you,
So the top dressings were getting annoying because it didn't take as much time to do it, as far as having to feed them as often. But you had to be on your shit, number one, because a lot of those break down slowly. Some of them break down quickly, but most of them are like long term. So that just got annoying after a while, especially when I couldn't at that time properly gauge when I should be finishing my plants. So then it's like a guessing game of, is this kelp going to get me through to this point or not? Or is it going to starve out early because it doesn't have time to ripen off? And I was like, there's just got to be something better than this. So then I started getting into super soils, and I tried out a million different people's kinds of super soils. And I kind of landed on my own that I like. It's really inspired by my buddy Gas over at Swami Organic Seed. I got really into his blend. But I got into KNF after the super soils, and I started incorporating them with my super soils because they were already hot as is, and they could really they wouldn't take a plant full cycle, but they would take a plant most of the cycle. So it was easier doing foliar feeds if I needed it, like reactionary. Oh, I didn't put enough calcium in this one, it's kind of ending out a little bit early. Then I could just take some WCA and foliar it really quick. And now I'm kind of in that stage where I'm getting into no-till indoors with KNF.
Wow.
Indoor KNF. Oh, I like how you're converting this whole like almost your whole grow into KNF. But of course, if you're gonna notice that big of a difference, why wouldn't you, right?
Yeah.
Like
I would say it's now a no-till garden with KNF enhancements.
Okay, just like a couple here and there inputs, but
I need it. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I
Dude,
mean, I feel like that's just
that
as valid.
The progression that you took is like my progression as far as like what I've been interested in and how I did it, right? Like same, like general hydro, like 2-part bullshit, and then I think we just went straight to hot soil after that. We're just using bottle newts and then like hot soil, but like then after that, it's like okay, well, like learning about living soil and no-till, and also now like KNF and the JDAM stuff, like really getting into like, okay, well, how do I keep this shit going for like almost nothing? And you're over here doing it exactly that way. I just wonder if it's the natural progression of a gardener, like you just do it that way.
I would say so.
That's us PNW hippies, man. Us PNW hippies.
Oh, bro,
it's just something in our blood. That's just
you just want to. I mean, that's the whole point, you know. Make it as good for you as you can,
right?
Lower cost. If it shouldn't be something that's. I mean, everybody's got their own preference,
right?
And if people want to do synthetic, that's fine. Like I said, I'm just worried about my hand in it,
right?
The impact that I make,
right?
Yeah.
But I don't mind if somebody else does it or anything. Like it's got to happen. Somebody's gonna do it, you know.
Right.
But at the end of the day, some people might like the synthetic buds better. Maybe that is their preference. There's people like that. That's fine, you know. But to me, I was getting better flavors out of the organic. I felt better about it. I felt better about lowering my costs and really not having to pay shit to keep my plants beautiful and tasting amazing.
Yeah.
So
and it just smokes better, right? Like it just, I don't know, dude. Like you don't have to cough to get off all the time if it's good weed, you know? Like
exactly.
And, no, dude, I totally feel that way, and I continue to.
It shouldn't be a burden,
right?
I'm a big believer that you're gonna bring your vibe into your garden. If you're going there every day because you're stressed out, because fuck, I just had to drop $500 on fucking nutrients or whatever,
right?
Or like, oh, I've got to get this done now, and you're just always worried. Like, you're not bringing that good vibe into the garden. You know?
Right.
And you mentioned a couple people along that journey that you kind of took us through, as far as like your media habits or how you fed your plants. Is there anybody particular that like really helped you through like your whole cannabis experience, or someone that you just really kept going back to their stuff because you learned so much? I know there's a lot of people, but if there's one out there that just stands out to you, is there?
That influenced me the most. I guess if I had to take it back before I even knew really anybody in the community other than my buddy that I grew with, it would be Ed Rosenthal.
Oh, okay.
Because,
right.
I mean,
okay.
All the Asket sections back then, that was a name that we, other than him and Jorge Cervantes, those were two big names that we really associated with the cool new magazine cannabis article guys, that are throwing information out there. And I loved those magazines back then. I was like a box boy in a grocery store, and they'd always have like they had a good collection. I'm not hating on them. They had a good collection. They had like Skunk, they had High Times, they had Weed World.
Fuck yeah.
And they had another one. But as like a teenager working in there, like you always got to stop at the magazine rack while you're mopping the floor, And then we'd have these days where, and I'm not a thief at all, but I was a little punk. I was a punk when I was a kid. But like once a week or whatever, they had to switch out the magazines, and all they would do is sell them back to the stores, and they would resell them again, like 10 years down the line or whatever. And so if I saw a magazine that I liked, I'm like, no, that one got lost, All right.
Yeah, I got lost at my house. It's so weird.
I meant to bring
Most
it back.
teenagers had porn collections. I had like High Times and Skunk and shit.
Yeah. I mean, fuck, dude. That could be considered porn too. Looking at some of those weed that's in there. Yeah.
It was in the no area.
Yeah.
Especially era of that was kind of like if your parents caught you with a weed magazine, that probably wasn't the coolest.
I got my ass beat.
For me, it probably would have been worse than the porno magazine, right? Like it would have been better for them to find a Playboy.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to do a podcast with my parents just to see where their head's at now. Because when I was younger, it was like, stupid fucking kid, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But now they see what I'm doing with cannabis, and how successful I've been with it. And they look at it in a different light now.
That's dope.
They're like, this isn't that bad. And my dad has taken edibles with me now. I've had my dad grow a plant like the last few years.
Wow, hell yeah.
Cool.
No, that's like a cool feeling, right? To like get your parents into it. I got my mom smoking. Awesome. Yeah. I smoked my first blunt.
When my old man comes up and he's like, okay, so we're at this stage now. What are we going to do? And I'm like,
hell yeah.
Teach my dad how to grow weed.
I feel like I have that same, I share that same sentiment, just kind of growing up, I smoked some weed. My parents kind of knew about it, and they were just like, oh, my mom would just say, you smoke pot or dope. She would like call it those things. And I'm like, okay, whatever. It's weed, and it's dope as cocaine nowadays and other things. Exactly. But like it's anyway. But it's funny because now she will, my grandma, her mother, takes edibles and stuff like that. And my dad is, I don't know, at first he was like, you're growing weed. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Kind of thing. And it was just like, now he's like, all right, now he's got a job. He's making a really good living doing this thing. And he's like, okay, it's like, but also, when I was younger and smoking weed and doing the dumb shit and, like 18 plus, I was out of school and all that. He was just like, we got drunk a couple times and just like, we're bullshitting. And, he would just say, like, when I'm retired, man, when I'm retired, and he's not retired yet, but he's like, when I'm retired, maybe I'll smoke with you or something to that degree. I don't know exactly, but
gonna be dope.
But I was like, you fucking better count on it, dog, because when you're retired, I'm calling that, I'm bringing that card for my free joint smoke with my dad.
Yeah. It's gonna be me with the card in one hand and the blunt in the other, and what up?
Yeah, and my brother just started like very small, like he'll take like one hit and like that's it. My brother just started smoking a little bit, and he'd had an experience way back when with the spice, if you're familiar with that, the like not so great stuff, and he went into this really weird state with it, and like anytime he smoked weed, it like brought him back to that space, that head space and stuff like that. So it's really cool to see now that like he's kind of gotten past that, and he'll like smoke a little bit of weed, and it does, I feel like he said it helps him. To what degree, I don't really know. He has ADHD and stuff like that too. So, and he tends to like we'll keep on that quote unquote sativas. So if you have ADD and, I feel like that is made for them, those types of weeds that,
helps
you say
focus,
hazes
dog.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It does the opposite. Whereas I'll get into a fucking panic attack, but
I smoke some sativa to go fold the dishes, like I got something to do. I need to focus on it. We doing this.
Yeah, but dude, so you have your own podcast we mentioned earlier in this show. What inspired you to kind of even start that? I know we have our own story, but what like got you into that?
So when it was before I did KNF, I think if I remember right.
Mm-hmm.
No, it couldn't have been. No, I was already doing because it was about KNF. The first podcast I did was with the Homegrown Helpers. Rob from that show actually passed away. It's been a few years now. But he was a really, really cool guy, and he kind of gave me my first shot at being on a podcast. And then I didn't really know even what a podcast was.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I guess I had an idea, but I didn't really listen to him or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember how I think somebody asked me to go on there, and then I hit him up or something. Yeah, he made it really easy for me. He was really good talker. You get on the call with him and he'd tell you, this is what we're going to do. Just make you really comfortable. and I really appreciated that. And I'll even shout out Growcast. I worked with Growcast for a while. And Jordan River over there kind of gave me a shot at like modding a group for him and whatnot. And then I decided that I kind of wanted to do my own thing, my own type of podcast, because I knew a lot of people in the industry. I knew a lot of breeders mostly, but I knew a lot of people in the industry. So I wanted to get a chance to let them tell their stories, you know, without judgment at all. And then that be its place in cannabis history. So those are the words of those people, and you can kind of, nobody's ever going to agree on shit. This cut came from this guy. This cut came from this guy. So, are we good?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Nobody's ever going to agree. Everybody wants to be the boss. Everybody wants the plant to be theirs. So, and that sucks for the guy that actually created it, but the people are always going to argue over this shit. So I realized it's not really my place to do that. What I am going to do is I'm going to take some of the best people that I know in the industry that I know are good-hearted people, and I'm going to give them their opportunity to tell their story. And you can connect the dots in your own way, you know?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. And that's interesting to hear that you had like a gradual like process or you know, entry into podcasting. I feel like a lot of people just like jump right into it, and it's cool to hear that like you, I don't know, gain some knowledge before even attempting to do it. I feel like that's pretty wise, at least,
so,
you know.
Well, here's the other thing. I don't really listen to podcasts. And like I was telling you earlier, there's like 2 that I actually dedicate time to, where there's like an episode that comes out. It's like I'm going to listen to it. One is you guys's, because you guys crack me up when you guys go off on your random shit. It's hilarious. And especially knowing that you guys are local boys, you know. It's prideful seeing you guys come up. I want to help you guys out as much as I can.
Appreciate that.
And then I've got a huge following from Australia. I don't know where they came from or why I vibe with Australia. They say it's because I don't have a filter and I don't bullshit. But out of nowhere, that's not something I expected when I started doing all of this. Was that I was going to have this huge following in Australia. But all of a sudden, all these Australians came over, and I heard of the podcast and over there by Heavy Days, and he's definitely. I really, really like his interview style. He asks very good questions, and he's just a good interviewer overall.
Nice.
And he has an Australian accent, so it's cool.
It's pretty dope. Yeah. Fuck yeah, dude. That's like when we started. All of our listeners, like for the first, I don't know, 4 months, were all in India. Like we had like maybe 13 people here in the States that listened to us, but we had hundreds in India. And I was like, all right, India, like go off.
Yeah. And I didn't have like, it was weird because I'd have listeners in California and whatnot, but I had like nobody in Washington. I'm like, this is my state. Like, what's going on?
Fuck?
Right.
But I wasn't looking at all the positives that I had. I had a huge following in Australia. I had a huge following in Michigan and Massachusetts and all over the East Coast. I've got a big following in New York now and all over the place. So it's like the grass is always greener, you know?
Right. Yeah. And eventually there are people from Washington will wisen up and listen to you. If there's anybody out there right now.
Yeah, Washington's just slow to everything, right? Like we're over here and it takes us a while to like get on. We're slow to weed compared to like California. We're slow to a lot of like, I don't know, good changes. And I just feel like
I'm all about the Oregon stuff.
Yeah.
The Oregon stuff?
Yeah, Oregon. Yeah, we always have good things to say or hear about Oregon. We were just talking about that the other day. Like Oregon is just, I never hear shitty things about Oregon.
Yeah, hell no. Even their dispensaries are just well done.
Yeah.
I mean, they can sell, medical patients can sell there, you know, and you can go in there. Plant. You don't just have to look at it in the package and go, here, you want it or not. Like, it's like, open it up, smell it, you know.
Deli style.
Pre-COVID days, I guess.
Right.
I hope they went back to that. But yeah, you can check
have they
it
changed
out.
up?
You can look at it under the microscope. You could smell it, you know, get an idea of what it was like. And they had some really fire shit down there. They have good genetics and all that.
Yeah, I've always known. And also, like, if you're, you know, in the surrounding areas, Washington or California, you can go up to Oregon and buy yourself a clone. They sell those straight up in the dispensary too. I was just like, wow, like Oregon is is doing everything right. As far as like comparatively, right? Like we were just talking about like California and how they were really doing some really dumb stuff down in California. And I see people, post about that as well. It's just like the governor is passing some weird tax laws that aren't doing anything. They're basically canceling each other out. Anyway, yeah. We were talking about this Airbnb as well that was like
in Oregon.
That it was on a weed farm.
Yeah, and they give you like joints on the pillow and like, yeah.
So, yeah.
So when's this happening?
Right? Yeah, I feel like we should just get a bunch of people together in the Oregon, Washington, like everyone that's been on the show, and we'll go do a meetup there and do the Airbnb because it does look pretty dope. And like you can go tour the farm. Like the way they have it set up is the tree is outside of the farm, just barely, but like how you overlook the farm and then you like come down and go through the front to like actually get to the farm gates. Because I was like, how do they legally do that? Like, how do they have an Airbnb on a cannabis farm? That doesn't seem like legit. And it's not. It's like the tree hangs over the line.
I mean, it's the experience, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. You get to see a weed farm while you have your Airbnb.
Right.
So, what are you showing us?
Black and blue magoo.
Black and blue magoo. I've heard plenty of blue magoo. At least around here in Washington, all the outdoor stuff tends to be blue magoo, or labeled that at least. What's black and blue magoo?
It's the blue magoo back crossed twice, I believe. Crossed to purple punch.
Oh,
okay.
Nice. So a little like breath of like some hypeness into. I guess Blue Magoo's been out for a while, right? Like that's heirloom. Like
yeah, he actually just released the back cross 3 not long ago.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I have a cut that I kept out of the back cross twice.
Now, was that weed you just showed us? Is that outdoor grown weed?
No.
Okay, that was indoor. Okay, I was like, damn, that was like really good for fucking outdoor.
Teach me the ways.
Right, yeah.
We're going to be over there.
We're not too far
weekend.
away.
Yeah.
Why don't we just, you teach me the ways?
Genetics.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a couple community questions from our community over there on Discord and Instagram and all that good stuff. So if you guys want to get questions, you know where to do it. But so Sleepy Green, I'm sure you know him. I believe he's in your Discord as well. He says, what are your top 5 must-have pieces of tech or gear for indoor growing? You can narrow that to a top 3 if that's better. But
my lights, the Next lights. I really love the Next light controller. I can do sunrise, sunset with it.
Okay.
I can adjust multiple channels on it, so I can do veg and bloom off one controller on 2 different channels. They're fucking amazing lights. Wow. So those 2, definitely. My blue mats, I fucking love the blue mats.
Ooh,
yeah,
I've been looking
I'm gonna buy
too.
one, dude. I got it got it in my cart, saved. I'm like, I'm gonna do it.
I've pimped mine out over the years. Like they got everything fancy, all the stakes, like every inch, But yeah, the lights, the controller, blue mats, 5.
You don't have to go to 5. We can go to 3. Let's cut right there. That's perfect. Now that sounds like there's a lot of flexibility in that light, dude. Like there's, you said you could set it up to where there's part of it on flower and part of it on veg.
Yeah, you have 2 different channels on it, channel A and channel B. So channel A could be your bedroom, channel B can be your bloomer.
Oh yeah,
set the hours for both of them.
It's almost like bringing some of the commercial aspects to your home. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, exactly.
As far as like controllability and that lighting ramp and up and down, like that's fucking sick, dude. Like,
yeah, that's dope.
That's
They stay away from, a lot of people haven't heard of them or don't do much with them because, unlike most of the companies that are around right now, they don't opt in for that far red.
Mm.
They stay on more of what they call a bright white full spectrum. but it's a little bit more blue, heavy on the blue. And one of the things that I was noticed, I don't care what anybody was saying about the far red and whatnot. Back in the day, one of the things that I appreciated was if I was flowering with my, because I'm not a yield guy. Like, I'm going to get the best I can out of my plant, and if I'm happy with it, I'm going to keep it. Mm-hmm. I'm going to try to learn from it from there, you know? But with the HPS, we get really, really big buds, but I wasn't getting a lot of colors. The trichome population density wasn't as thick. And then when we would, every once in a while, we'd flower with the metal halides, which was a bluer spectrum, we get better resin populations. The nugs would be denser. We get better colors. That's something that kind of followed me over here and that I appreciate about the next light. And if you look at that chart, you'll have to look it up on their website sometime, but you see the normal peaks of the blue spectrum and then that sharp spike in the red spectrum if they have that far red in there. Well, with the next light one, that blue humps got massively bigger and wider than that red hump would. So you're actually putting a little bit more production into your plant itself.
Nice.
Instead of like sacrificing for that far red, you're basically just dumping it all in there.
Exactly.
Nice.
It's quality over quantity.
Fuck yeah. Damn.
In my.
Okay, so the next question I want to ask from Rude Boy, because I mean, he's really a winner right now. Yeah. Champagne. Shout out. What was the worst plant you ever grew all the way through flower? Like the biggest oof.
Again, I've been doing this for a while, so man. Okay, say it again.
The worst like plant or run that you've ever gone all the way through flower, that you took all the way to the end and chopped down and hung and all that.
Oh, and saved.
Yeah. Or you know, like,
or just what was the worst?
Limped it along the way, or all died, you know, like.
Okay, how about this one? I didn't limp it along to the end. We just straight chopped them.
Okay. Hit us with it.
But you guys are going to find it fucking hilarious. So, just huge stoner moment. I got to that point where when I started figuring out how to grow weed, I figured I could laze around with it a bit. And that's when I started having problems with my grow. But we had this huge grow of pineapple chakra by Cannabeeson, and they're out of Oregon. Awesome fucking genetics. We even grew that outdoor, and there was one phenotype that was amazing out of it. It tastes like pineapple juice. Wow. But we were doing this, and I took so much time on it. I think it was an HPS grow, but we took all these pineapple chakra and I mainlined all of them. So a lot of training on a lot of plants. And they were really hazy in their structure because I think I don't remember if it was the mom or the dad, but it had a plum haze on one side of it. I just switched over from analog to digital timers. Ooh. And I set every day of the week for 12/12 except for Wednesday.
Oh no!
So one day was still in straight veg mode, and I didn't notice it for like 2 weeks because they were doing what they were supposed to do. Mm-hmm. But once it got to like that pre-flower bud structure, they just wouldn't continue flowering. They'd just keep growing, and I let them go for weeks, just going, these are weird long flowers. And then it was like, it got to that point where it's like, they're not going to show up.
That's so sad. All the time and effort you put into that.
Did you go back and find like the timer thing immediately, or did it take a while to be like, I wonder what the fuck caused this?
It took like I'm saying, like 3-4 weeks probably.
Damn.
It was a Wednesday. You were like going in there where the lights are off, the lights are still on. You're like,
This is no heavy haze, you know? It's just not flowering.
Right.
No.
And then I went back to the timer and I saw that.
Pretty big oof.
Pretty big oof. That's a good one. Got to do the due diligence.
Damn. Stoner moment. Okay, so another question from Sleepy Green. Maybe one of the last questions we'll ask here. What are your feelings of the potential federal legalization, and how do you feel about that is going to affect home growers? You can answer that in however you want, but how do you feel, I guess, overall of the federal legalization or the talk about it?
I don't want it.
Okay, I feel like we share that. What are your hesitations with it? What do you?
I would rather it be decriminalized. It's a plant. It
Sure.
should have never had any laws against it to begin with. It's a fucking plant.
Right.
And if we legalize it, that's not doing anything for us.
That's getting
that some people can patent their strains if you have enough money.
right.
If Monsanto doesn't get to it first, and now they're on this what do they call them? The new seeds that are completely sterile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't.
I've been talking about those too. Yeah.
You're making it so nobody else can produce these seeds.
Right.
That you own these genetics, and the little guy isn't going to be able to afford those patents when they're going up.
Do you
It's
think?
not something that's going to happen. So it should have never been illegal. There should have never been a law against it to begin with, because it's literally just a plant and it's medicinal.
Right.
It challenged too many corporations, and it's just a money grab, and it shouldn't be like that. We should be doing what we're doing, podcasting, noting it by word of mouth. If this is important to you, if this is a strain you create, come talk to me. Let's, save this in history on a podcast, on a video cast,
Right.
with the man himself coming from his, perspective. That's where all this lies, and you shouldn't be able to get in trouble for it. You should be able to do whatever you want to in your own home.
Yeah. I feel it, man. Like that, you could have said it better.
Yeah. Doc for president.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't want to see White Widow by. I can't. Fuck. I was gonna say like a big company name.
It's good. You stopped yourself. You did it. You're a champion.
Go into like the the local gardening store and seeing it up on the shelves.
Right.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah. I don't know how that's going to affect like home growers and stuff either, because I don't know how that's going to go, and it seems like if it's worth money to them, that they're going to kind of keep it closer to their chest.
Yeah. I mean, if they own everything and they can just run that market, then they can just pump shit out as cheap as they can, put mass produce out there, and all of a sudden it becomes like wall place.
Right.
And, and all of a sudden, it's really cheap and it's really appealing, but all that money's going to the same person, and everybody else around you starving.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
they'll
Doc,
be buying distillate from Canada.
Yeah. It's got 90% THC, man.
We didn't get into the aliens.
Get you.
We
didn't get into the aliens. We didn't.
Fuck.
But the beauty of podcasting and having you on as a guest means you're always welcome back, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
We try to make these things easily digestible. We had a couple 2-3 hour episodes in the very beginning. I don't know if that's
It's a big episode.
That's a big episode. So we're always welcome to have you. You're always welcome back here, sir.
Yeah.
But as we wrap shit up, dude, like, is there anything that you feel that you need to tell some people on the internet?
Everybody that has supported me throughout the years and up to this point, all my Patreon members, all my fans, just keep doing what you're doing. That support is what keeps us going.
Absolutely.
And I love doing what I do, and I want to keep doing it.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, sir.
Lovely,
it's been
man.
An honor.
Thank
a
you.
Pleasure.
And it was great to officially meet you, and it couldn't have been a better sesh, sir.
I feel like it's dope to meet and talk with somebody that I've just been like stalking on Instagram for so long. So thanks, dude.
Thanks, man.
All right, everyone.
Yeah, we'll meet up soon. You guys aren't that far away. We'll have
we will drive over to you, because it sounds like what you got going on is something I want to see with my eyeballs. So
Right on, man.
All right, everybody. Follow DocCalyx on Instagram, and that'll kind of funnel you everywhere else. That's Doc_Calyx. You know how to spell it. You're involved with weed. You know how to spell it.
And if not, you can read.
All right.
You can learn.
Exactly. All right. Love y'all. Have a wonderful week.
Peace.
Thanks, guys.